Well, god damn, we're live. I'll tell you what. Got 4 viewers right off the bat. I love it. I love it. I love it. So
hell yeah, dude.
That makes me tingle in my little nether regions, as they say. Ooh yeah.
Puts a skip in your step.
Puts a starch in my cell.
Just tickles you pink.
Yeah, it does. Red rocket. But anyway, welcome into the Clear as Mud podcast. I'm your host, Riveter. Got co-host there of the Banana Grabber.
What up?
What we're going to be discussing right off the bat. We're going to just jump right in this because time is going to be limited today because Banana and I both have got some IRL shit that is making it real tight on our constraints for time today. And there's so much shit we have to unpack on this story that I want to make sure that we get into it, we cover it, and we give it its due diligence. And so rather than us just do our normal bullshit and stuff that we normally do, chit chat and how you doing, yeah, all that kind of stuff, let's just get right into the story if you don't mind, Banana. But so anyway,
yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to just jump right off into the fucking deep end here. No pleasantries, no platitudes, no niceties, nothing. We're going to get right in there and we're going to say, fuck Ethan Klein. Okay, let me just get that on the record. I'm biased. I hate the little fucker. He's a hypocritical, two-faced piece of shit. But I digress. So here we go.
Here we go.
On January the 14th at 5:48 p.m., Ethan Klein tweeted out saying this: "Years ago, I interviewed Jordan Peterson. Before I was very familiar with his politics, he was an interesting guest who I enjoyed sitting with. But, especially now, I can see he's a dangerous gateway to the alt-right, transphobia, and COVID misinformation. I removed both my interviews today." Now, first and foremost, right off of the get-go, I don't know about Banana, but I personally have no issues with Ethan deleting any type of show or content that is on his YouTube channel. It's his fucking YouTube channel. He can delete whatever the fuck he wants to. Banana, your thoughts?
As long as the guests and him had an agreement to where they could delete the episode, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the thing that I will rebut you on that. If the guest was wanting to ensure that the video stayed up or whatever, then the guest should have been simultaneously streaming the thing to his own channel as well, right?
Or just had it uploaded on theirs as well, yeah.
Exactly, right? So when you go into somebody's show, like if somebody comes onto our podcast, right, and somewhere down the road something comes out about that person that makes us to the point disgusted to where we say, fuck, we don't want any type of ties. We not necessarily disavow, but we don't want there to be anything out there that it looks like we are in any way promoting this person or we are supporting this person, or we basically just don't want to give this person any type of airtime or anything like that. I'll just tell you right now, I can't foresee that ever happening because I'm the type of person, if we do a video or somebody comes on our show, it's history. History should remain. History should not be deleted. History should not be eradicated. History is history. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. It's fucking history. Leave it out there. Let the masses take it for what it is and go on from that. But again, that is just that's my personal view on it, right?
Sure.
I think we do way too much. But here's my problem with this, right, Ethan? I don't give a fuck if you want to delete the podcast or the shows off your channel. I could give a fuck less. But when you come on Twitter and you grandstand like this, all you're doing is waving fucking flags trying to get people to react. This right here was nothing more than you grandstanding and wanting attention. Well, bitch, you've got attention. Fucking, you've got a lot of people after your ass. You're giving people like myself, Banana, more content, and thank you, I guess, for that, you ignorant son of a bitch. But anyway, here we go. We're going to get right into this, okay? I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm a little bit fired up today. All right, maybe it's too much caffeine. I don't know, but we're going to roll with it. So he puts out there, and he makes 3 allegations, guys, and that's what we're going to focus on. Now, Jordan Peterson, I'm going to be honest with you. What I knew about Jordan Peterson prior to this, you could fit into a thimble. I knew the man was out there. I'd heard his name a few times. I had never watched any of his interviews. I have never read any of his books. I have never read any articles about the man. So my knowledge of Jordan Peterson is very limited. Banana, expound on what your knowledge is, please.
Well, I'm like the exact opposite. I've read all of his books. I've seen probably hundreds of hours of his interviews and his lectures online. Pretty much a fucking expert on the guy.
Okay. So going forward, I'm going to be I guess the naive person, and you're going to be the knowledgeable, biased, pro Jordan Peterson, right?
Pro Peterson, yeah.
Pro Peterson. You're pro Peter.
I'm the PP man.
You like the Peter. Okay, got it.
All right, calm down.
So anyway, so he makes 3 allegations in this. He says he's gateway to the alt-right, he's transphobic, and he's puts out COVID misinformation, right? Clean your room. Exactly right, Death Chicken. I don't know if he's talking to Banana or myself, but one of us needs to clean our damn room. It's probably you, Banana. You are a nasty slob son of a bitch.
Well,
and now, hang on. I get that now. Wait on a second. That was one of Peterson's thing. Was like he said, just clean your room, right? Wasn't that one of his quotes? Just clean your room or something. Okay.
I mean, my room's basically clean. It's just,
you know what it is?
You know.
I think Death Chicken is trying to show here that maybe possibly he's trying to what's the word I'm looking for? He's trying to impress us with being well read. Maybe that's what it is. You think Bananas? You think Chicken's trying to impress us, saying that he's being well read and shit? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. Awesome Sauce wants us to get back on topic. He's very anxious to hear what we have to say about this.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, let's get it. Anyway, so when I read this tweet, I wanted to break it down, and I wanted to say, okay, is there any validity to these 3 allegations? The alt-right, gateway, being transphobic, and the COVID misinformation. So that's how I attacked this, because, again, I don't know the man. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of break this down and to see what and so, he goes on, to make a few more tweets or whatever. Okay. So Dr. Peterson, who, by the way, this I do know, he has a PhD, right? Banana, in
clinical psychology.
I know that
a professor for Harvard, and then I think McGill University is where he ended up.
Okay, I know he's teaching at a university. He's Canadian, and he is teaching at a university in Canada right now. But
Pretty sure he worked for the UN as well at one point.
I do know this in the brief little synopsis that I. In reading some of the articles I read for this story and watching a few videos that I watched, Mr. Peterson does not strike me as your typical highly educated person. And let me expand on that, please.
Okay.
Because of my job, I deal with highly educated people all the time. Mm-hmm. But they're very well educated, but when it comes to just like common sense, they don't know to get in and out of the damn rain. Okay?
Sure.
But Mr. Peterson seems to be very level-headed and has quite a bit of common sense in conjunction with him being highly educated.
He doesn't strike you as intellectually dishonest.
No, he's not intellectually dishonest, or at least I could not see in the 2 days that I spent digging into this and reading. He doesn't seem dishonest. He seems to have a moral compass that is not fluctuating. It's not spinning on a dial. Like if you take a compass and you put it above a magnet, the son of a bitch just spins, right? It can't find true north, right? But Mr. Peterson seems like his compass, it points at us. He has his morals, he has his values, he has his beliefs. He has the knowledge and the information to back up it, to articulate his ideologies and beliefs. And so he believes what he believes, right? And it's not
ironically, he's not even right wing. He's actually liberal. And the thing is like his whole life's work has been, and this I'll make this brief, but just to give you an idea of what Peterson's about. His life's work is centered around basically carrying Jung's work forward. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst who is a contemporary of Freud.
Okay.
Essentially, he was obsessed with authoritarianism and totalitarianism, fascist states, and wondering how it is that people could end up committing atrocities like, the Great Leap Forward or Nazi Germany, stuff like that. And his whole life's work has just been about to understand pathology in the collective, essentially, like communism or fascist right-wing totalitarianism. And that's what his MO has been against.
Okay.
So it's kind of ironic that he's being labeled as alt-right here.
So anyway, Mr. Peterson says, what are you up to, Ethan? We had a good conversation. I enjoyed meeting you and talking with you. What have I said precisely that motivated your actions and your accusations? Deleting our discussion, an honest question. And he tags, Ethan there in it. He goes on to say, finally.
Oh, it's so fuck. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He goes, finally, he says, you might seriously consider providing me with the footage so I can post it, given that I agreed to appear on your show based on the agreement that there would in fact be a show. Okay, well, there was a show. They did post it. He decided to take it down. I don't have a problem with him requesting so he can put it up on his channel, whatever. That's fine. I mean, but again, Ethan doesn't have to.
An insinuation of a threat.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, not really. I mean,
not like a threat.
He's just asking, hey, if you're not going to post it, can I have it and post it for myself, right? Because I believe he wants it. I think he wanted it preserved for historical reasons, right?
Sure.
So also he goes on to say, also, I should warn you that those who engage in cancel culture generally live to regret it. I'm not going to come after you except politely in this Twitter stream, but the chickens will definitely come home to roost. You will be held to higher and higher and sooner impossible to maintain ethical standards by the very mob you currently wish to please. Then you will make a mistake and then they will devour you with glee. Please take this warning seriously. I liked you. Okay.
Well, people may be asking themselves, like, what does he mean by that? And Peterson was on the show for 2 times, right? I mean, he even started the show off by doing, like, Peterson did the vape, like off the big giant vape pack that he had.
Yeah.
And Ethan Klein had plenty of opportunity because those accusations existed during that time that he was on the podcast. And Ethan Klein did have the opportunity to address those concerns
Sure.
on those 2 shows. He didn't, or if he did, he seemed perfectly okay with Peterson's rationale for why those accusations were being made.
Well, see, and here's the problem, right? We don't have those podcasts now to reference to go and to look at, analyze.
I'm sure they've been re-uploaded somewhere.
They may very well be. I haven't found them yet, but
let me look.
That's
go ahead.
So anyway, Ethan put his tweet out. Dr. Peterson put his out in rebuttal to that. So I want to go back to, if you guys don't mind real quick, let me bring this up on the screen. It says, remember I talked about he made three allegations. He said that he's a gateway to the alt-right, and then, okay, so on the gateway comment, the assertion that he's a gateway to the alt-right, that's really kind of a hard one to kind of pin down, right? Because
Peterson says himself in the GQ interview with what's her name? Anyways, he does an interview on GQ. Look it up, and literally the first 30 seconds of the interview is a clickbait little clip that says, "I'm not." She's like, so the host made an accusation that the alt-right has been a fan of his work and that they go to his rallies, and he's like, no, they aren't, and that's not true. He's like, where's your evidence for that? And he's like, because I don't like the alt-right. Yeah. I don't like identity politics, and they don't like me. Yeah. He literally says that on the show. So it's like, I mean, what more do you want? You know?
Yeah. Well, so when I say this is kind of hard to, you have to understand something. When you're dealing with the progressive left or the alt left, the extreme left, however you want to label them, they have a mentality of you're either 100% with us or you're 100% against us. There is no middle ground. There is no center. All right, we're back. Okay, I don't know what the hell happened. We must have had some damn internet things or whatever. Guys, I apologize. We're having a little weather incident right now, and we probably had. Okay, yeah, we're back. I think we're back, guys.
Can
are you hearing
hear
me?
Us? Put one in the chat if you can hear us. Make sure we're live. That we don't sit here for another 30 seconds. Well, we're back. All right, cool. We're back.
We're back. Okay, good. All right. So, the whole train of thought. So with the alt left, you're either with them or you're against them. There's no middle ground, right? Sure. And so if you don't agree with something of their, if you don't agree with one of their philosophies, one of their ideologies, or whatever, then it's throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? You're all bad. There's no way for you to be redeemed in any form, fashion, or so forth, right? So anyway.
It's actually crazy that you make that point too, because during the Muck debates with Peterson and what's his name, the British guy with the fucked up nose, Stephen Fry.
Okay.
He was saying when does the left go too far, because they don't ever draw a box around their extremists and say you guys aren't us. And so like by even saying alt left, it's like it's hard to pin them down because they all kind of live in a non-defined group. But go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, so I started to dig into when did he start getting this quote label, right? All right. So in I believe it was 2018, because there's a lot of dates and stuff and all this story. But anyway, I believe it was around 2018. Dr. Peterson put out a book called 12. Was it 12 steps to, or 12?
12 rules for life.
12 rules for life. Yes. Okay. And also during that time, there was and I may misspeak here, and I may not use the right terminology because we're going to talk about Canadian law. There was so I'm going to use it in context of what I know as far as here in the States. But anyway.
It's Bill C-16.
Bill. Yes. So there was a bill that was put before the Canadian Parliament, I believe is what they call it, that was had a section in it, whatever, to where if you misidentified somebody by using the wrong pronoun, there was legal ramifications for that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a crime.
It's a crime. So
you have to go before a tribunal, a civil rights tribunal, and they would arbitrarily decide whether or not you had hate in your heart. So it was a compelled speech legislation that was fit into Bill C-16. And go ahead.
So anyway, Dr. Peterson came out in opposition of this. And when he did that, they started labeling him as transphobic. They said he's transphobic because, once again, you're either 100% with us or you are not with us at all.
Well, I mean, even the fucking title of this video is misrepresenting what he was saying, because the red herring they're saying is like, oh, he hates trans people, he won't use their pronouns. It's like, no, he won't use compelled speech dictates by a overreaching government. That was the entire crux of the argument. If they told him to say red every morning when he woke up, he put his hands up and say red, or else he'd go to jail, he would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
it just happens to be a gender-centered thing.
So this video here comes from us from the channel LBC, and this was uploaded on May 22nd, 2018. And the title of the video was Jordan Peterson and why he refuses to use special pronouns for transgender people. And so this is about a little bit 2 minutes into this 3-minute 53 second video. And I want you to listen to the question from the host, the interviewer, and then Dr. Peterson's response to it.
Sitting here in front of you as a transgendered male to female or female to male, and we began the conversation. At the beginning of the conversation, you stumbled and called me he or she, and I was perhaps identifying the other way around. And then if I'd said to you, please, I'd rather go by she, how would you respond to that on a personal level? How would you?
Well, it would depend on the situation, but the way I have responded to that, because I've had a number of conversations with transgendered individuals, is that I use whatever pronoun seems to go along with the persona that they're projecting publicly. It's the simplest thing to do. Now, if we were,
so you would respect their choice on an individual level.
Yeah. But with a more contentious pronouns, je and je, and that sort of thing, that's a whole different issue. Because the question there is, well, exactly what is it that you're doing when you're asking me to use those words? Like, are you compelling me to play your particular ideological game, or is this actually a matter of some personal identity that's important to you? And those things are not obvious. And so in a situation like that, the first thing I'd have to do is to try to figure out just exactly what was going on in the situation, and that's not simple. And so there would be no foregone conclusion that I would address you by the pronouns of your choice. And the first thing I'd want to find out is that just a narcissistic power play? Because that's actually the most likely outcome.
Okay, so,
And by the way, in the interview with Kathy Newman, he said he had no problem addressing somebody by their preferred pronouns either. It's like it's not about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's he made it quite clear that it's not if a person comes to them and is presenting themselves as male and they're biologically female, he would refer to the pronouns that were appropriate for the male sex.
Yeah, it's the problem is like you don't have a right to not be offended. You can't make it a matter of law to protect your sensibilities from being offended, because then like what you said before and what Peterson has said before, and we said in the show, but Peterson has stated many times before, is to think about things critically and to have discussions that are meaningful. You have to risk offending people in the conversation. Otherwise, you're not doing anything but just towing a line and just repeating fucking propaganda, just jargon.
Yeah. So I think it's clear to see when Ethan puts out this tweet and he says that he's the transphobia. I don't believe Dr. Peterson is transphobia. I think he has stated there's been no cases that I could find where he flat out refused to identify anybody by their preferred pronouns. He's just saying, like he said, when you get into some of these nuances of when you start dealing with all the different ones, like the non-binaries and I see. And here's the thing: I'm an old man, and so even I don't understand all of it. Right? To me, there's two genders. There's male and there's female. But nowadays, that's not the case. Nowadays, we've got fluid genders, and we've got non-binary where they don't identify as either. And the list goes on and on and on and on.
Well, first of all, I'll take the brunt of the dangerous things you can't say now and go ahead and say, biologically, there are only two genders. There's a very, very, very small percentage of the population that is intersex. And I mean, it's like less than 1%. Yeah. So the representation on, media or Twitter of people who say they're intersex or non-binary, statistics pan out to say that most of the time they're fucking full of shit. It should not be controversial to say that. But the thing is when we had Diva on the other day, she made an excellent point. And I just went blank. God damn it. old brain, dude. I'm getting old.
Yeah,
Your boomerism is rubbing off.
Rub it off on you. Well, here's the thing about it.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Is that the people? So it becomes a problem with me whenever whatever the person is doing to not be offended controls the behavior of another person. So instead of saying, I'm going to trust you in an interpersonal relationship whenever we're communicating, I'm going to trust that you have good intentions. Rather, I'm going to shout you down, say you have harmed me in some way, and then control your behavior as a result. Whenever the other person, there's no real indication of whether or not they had meant harm in any way whatsoever. That's scary, because it's not a matter of respecting boundaries, or it's just a matter of control in power dynamics, ironically enough.
So Joey Westside poses a question in the chat, and he says, does Ethan have LA syndrome? Getting rich and living in LA seems to make people go insane.
I mean, yeah, and it's another thing we've said before too. We can tie all these things together that we've made in the past, points we've made. It's almost like Ethan doesn't realize that the vast majority of poor people live in rural areas, and a lot of them vote conservative or Republican. A lot of them are religious. So the people he fundamentally hates. So it's like, then you have to ask yourself the question: is Ethan so much a socialist or a trendy liberal that really believes in helping the disenfranchised, or is it just a more disgust factor? He's disgusted by the poor. He's disgusted by people he doesn't agree with. So he would rather be surrounded by these lofty Silicon Valley intellectuals who are making millions and billions of dollars. And the idea that the others exist who are not very smart, because people in rural areas don't trend high in intelligence, by the way. It's just a fact. It's not anything that's, a fucking pointed thing to say. Those people fundamentally disgust him. So it's like, you look at the behavior of somebody like Ethan Klein, how they talk about people who traditionally vote for, along conservative lines, and you go, okay, so you're full of shit. You're lying. You have another game going on. Sound about right?
Well, okay. I think I probably look at this maybe a little bit, not to say that what you're saying is not factual or not applicable.
It's not a fact claim. It's an observation, an empirical observation. I think.
If what I will say is if you go back and you consume any of the old H3 or Ethan's content, older podcasts, so on and so forth, there's a lot of stuff out there to me that points Ethan. Some of the things that he said that really makes me question. I think Ethan is a chameleon. Okay, let me explain that.
Yeah.
When you put a chameleon in an environment, it changes its color and patterns of its skin to reflect the pattern in skins around him, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go back and look at some of his older content, when the people that he was hanging out and associating with back then, he was putting out some very racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic content, right?
Objectively or subjectively by his own standards. That's important.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to look woke.
Okay. By his rule of measure, right? By his rules, what he is now throwing and leveling towards Dr. Peterson, if we take that same rule of measure and put it towards his content of the past, right? Mm-hmm. Ethan's content is very problematic, right? I'm not saying it's problematic for me. I'm just talking about when you take this rule of measurement that he's leveling towards Dr. Peterson here, and you apply it, or that if you put that microscope, if you will, and you apply it to Ethan's own content in the past, he says homophobic slurs, he says racial slurs, he talks disparagingly against Jewish, so that makes him anti-Semitic. There's a lot of stuff that he says, and if you go back even, and I'm talking even back pre podcast days, to where he was just a fledgling YouTuber making content on YouTube. He made some very what's the word I want to say here? Content where he talks about another content creator at the time, black gentleman, wanting to sexually violate this young girl. So that's, and the thing about it is, and why do I bring all that up, right? And this is why. It's because if we go back over here and we look at Dr. Peterson's tweet here, he says, and quote, he says, "You will be held to a higher and higher and soon impossible to maintain ethical standards by the very mob you currently wish to please. Then you will make a mistake and they will devour you with glee. But please take this warning seriously. I like you." Or I liked you. Okay, so that's the problem. Ethan thinks, well, let me just let Ethan's own words here speak, because...
Well, hold on. Death Chicken made a really good point. He said you're supposed to resent your past self with the woke. And it's like, yeah, they think these figureheads of the woke narrative, they'll go, I used to LARP in these unfortunate comedic practices, right? Like I used to use the things that are not okay, but I am now a different person. I'm reborn in Christ.
Yeah.
I am now exemplify the standard, the new moral standard that we have created for everyone. And so now that makes me impervious to my past deeds. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like since he's bent the knee and gone, I submit myself to the mob standard. Now my past is wiped away. It's very religious. So
Ethan had a response to Dr. Go ahead.
Real quick. Yeah. I'm sorry. Real quick. I just want to, Joey, I really believe Ethan is just scared to lose his Teddy Fresh business. He makes so much money, he's willing to do anything to keep it. Elaborate on that, Joey, because I really want to know what you mean by that. All right, go ahead.
Or better yet, Joey, call into the show and we'll be glad to drag you up. Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll have a conversation and we won't delete it either. No. So anyway, Ethan had a rebuttal to the tweet to Dr. Peterson. And he says, "This is my problem, Jordan. You asked for specific reasons. I provided them." Well, no, he didn't. He alluded and made some allegations, but he didn't back any of them up. It's real easy to sit there and throw, make comments and throw, disparaging words and labels towards people. It's easy. You can throw labels at people. People can label me all the time. You label me whatever you want to label me. But just because you say, "Oh, Riv is a sex god," or Riv's hung like a horse, or Riv has a harem of women. None of that shit. Just because you say that doesn't make it real, right?
No, you can't say that, River. Now they're going to say that about you. You did the bad thing and said on the internet.
Okay, whatever. But but the point is, it's just because we hang a label around somebody's neck, you can't just, doesn't make it true. Right.
Well, here's what you're gonna have to start doing, guys, and we are in the place now where it's really important that so when somebody comes up to you, or not, doesn't come up to you, when they say something like, "This person is X, Y, and Z transphobe," just go source. Give me a source, and they need to provide a source. The burden of proof is on them, and half the time they'll either give you no source and just make a fucking nonsense argument. Yeah. Straw man, whatever, trying to get you off topic and distract you. Or if you go through the source they provide, there's context within it that they didn't pay attention to that elucidates how their claim is wrong. So anyway, you have to start calling that shit out.
Yeah. He says, "I provided them instead of acknowledging my response. You retract further into your bubble of flatterers and devotees, talking of how you schooled me on cancel culture. You didn't school me, Jordan. Jordan, your room is as messy as your mind."
That seems a little bit like projection, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, he's projecting, because so there's the picture that Ethan was.
Yeah, and this is okay. This at the time, I guess Dr. Peterson was sick or whatever because. Anyway, there's some other tweets out there.
But if you scroll up real quick, I want to point something out.
Yeah.
You retract further into your bubble of flatterers and devotees.
Yeah.
What does that sound like to you guys? To me, sounds like the H3H3 podcast with Starkiller and all the guys sitting there forcefully laughing at every fucking lame ass written joke that's god awful. And they go, ha 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 ha. Yeah, I have to laugh at my boss's jokes or he'll fire me.
You mean the seal clappers?
Yeah. You're like, good one, Ethan. You're the man.
Also, he says, and Jordan, this is kind of where I really want to get into this one. He goes, and Jordan, regarding cancel culture, the only thing that has ever guided me is my own moral compass. Well, that's the problem. Ethan's compass, his moral compass, like I referred earlier, that son of a bitch is sitting there spinning. It's just sitting there doing 360s, right? Because he has no damn, he has no true compass. He has no spine. Because if you go and you look in the past, he had no problems setting on a podcast with iDubbbz who used and using the N word and the F word and things like that within context. But he was sitting there in that podcast and was just regurgitating, just vomiting out the words at nausea, and to the point to where even his wife was over there going, she was unnerved. So
I disagree because I think he did have a moral compass at one point in time, because you look at things like the humongous journey and like that was something he actually didn't have to do, and he could have gotten backlash for by woke, media and stuff like that. Like he helped that humongous dude. Did you ever watch that?
Yes, I followed Ethan for a long time. The guy humongous who was being attacked by now we call them Karens, right? But back in the day, she's just rabid feminist, and he actually did a GoFundMe and raised $140,000 for the dude or something, because he was kind of down on his luck and stuff. The guy lived up in I believe it was Seattle or Portland. One of those two cities.
Somewhere.
But anyway, and it's funny you bring that up, because I actually found in my rabbit hole of digging into this, I actually found where somebody had recorded a lecture that Dr. Peterson had done back some time ago, right? Way before there was ever a thing with Ethan Klein or a podcast Ethan Klein.
Well, that's why they had him on the show. Because Ethan saw that he did a lecture on Humongous.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, and he refers to how Ethan, was raising money for Humongous and all that, right? Mm-hmm. There was a day and a time where Ethan, I think he had a good direction. I think he had his head on fairly straight. But then the problem is, and this kind of goes back to the question of who was it? Was it Joey? I think Joey asked, because he lived out there in LA,
does Ethan have LA syndrome? Getting rich and living in LA seems to make most people go insane.
So I think and this goes back to I was talking about my analogy with the chameleon, right? Yeah. When all of a sudden he quit hanging out with people like Filthy Frank and iDubbbz and the quote cringe lords of internet back then, right, of YouTube, and now all of a sudden he's hanging out with these more progressive ideologies, the Hassan Pikers of the world, and so he's changed colors again. Right, his skin and stuff to assimilate or to be accepted within that bubble, right? That ecosphere of content creators, and he doesn't, And if you bring up his past, if you bring up these past videos, if you bring up these past podcasts, he just says, "Well, I've grown from them. I have,
And honestly, dude, if your apotheosis is leaning into a very popular cultural trend as your new adopted excuse me, a new adopted philosophy, dude, that's pretty fucking sad. I mean, like, what a follower, huh?
Yeah.
But these subtweets are really interesting, aren't they?
Yeah. So anyway, he goes on to say, and Jordan, regarding cancel culture, the only thing I've ever got to be was my own moral compass. Everything else is just noise. The mob is free to cancel me as it will, and they have plenty of times. And actually canceling, as you call it, sometimes is a good experience, as painful as it is. The times when I've received the most flack on things, I've said are the times I've learned the most about myself and the world, and how to be more mindful and caring of others. It's not always a call for divisive or defensiveness and shrieking. There's always growth to be had. I will speak to people I trust that challenge me. You, on the other hand, surrounded yourself with yes men. Growth is human.
I mean, there's so many, like, it's always interesting to me whenever somebody says they're empathetic and they care about others and stuff, yet they write these little sub paragraphs and they're riddled with I, me, and my, and also I find it interesting. It granted may mean nothing, but whenever people say they have ownership over their morals, like it's my moral compass, whenever I think morals have always been, maybe it's just because of my fucking Southern Baptist upbringing, but morality is something that has existed outside of you. And it's just, you have to understand what is moral. You can't create morality. I don't know. Is that something that's unique to me? Or is that just,
well, okay. So morality is all around us, right? The very laws that we have here in the States is all originated from morals that our forefathers had, right? There were certain morals and beliefs that they held true, and they turned around and then they made laws that governed based on that morality, right? And people that did not want to adhere to that type of morality or that type of laws, if you will, they kept moving west, right? That's why they called it the Wild Wild West. It was full of people that did not want to be under the boot of law, as it were. But eventually we went from coast to coast and all that, and so we still have, now, is there times and things that the government overreaches and invokes laws and stuff that are crippling and depriving people of inalienable rights or God-given rights, if you will. I believe that they do. I think there's times that that occurs. But back to our show here, or about our topics and stuff.
Yeah, I'll go for like 2 hours on morality if you let me.
Yeah, we won't. We're not going to get into all that.
The picture under Ethan's series of annoying tweets made me laugh really hard.
Oh,
in my head.
Yeah. The question is Ethan makes a statement, says, I have been canceled many times, and every time I've learned from it and I've grown and how to be more empathetic to people. I'm trying to think, how many times has Ethan ever been canceled? I don't know of a time where Ethan's ever been canceled.
Well, okay, so if you consider him like the whole entirety of YouTube audience dragging him kicking and screaming to sit down in front of a Gokanara video as being canceled, I think that's the one time where he was like, I said those things and I'm sorry I said them, and he just took like a public flogging that no one ever asked for, or no one incurred. He incurred it upon himself. And like, it's because it's just like, you see that picture, that meme of the kid on the bike putting the stick in the fucking spokes and then, gone like, why if bad things keep happening to me?
Yeah.
That's like that should be Ethan's epitaph. Like,
yeah. Well, okay. But all right. So here's the thing though, right?
Sure.
Why did that happen? Why was Ethan forced, as you said, kicked and screaming? Why was he, quote, forced into doing that? Why?
Well, because
what was the catalyst? What was the catalyst for all that?
People saw the Gokanara video and they wanted answers, and he couldn't get away from he knew on some level with the way the game works on YouTube that he had to come out and address it because people were fucking going on and on and on about it, saying, "Hey, there's all these things."
Okay, but hang on. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to what was the catalyst.
You gotta feed me better. I'm not seeing where you're leading me here.
Okay.
Yeah, dangle that carrot right in front of my head.
I'll try to get you out there on that ledge so you jump off.
There you go.
It's purely for entertainment, though, purposes.
Entertainment purposes.
No, okay. So if we go back and we look, okay, so here's what happened. So Ethan Klein starts making his multi-part series on Keemstar, right? And so Keemstar loses his brand deal with that drink mix shit, whatever it's called, G Fuel, right? And
G Fuel.
Yeah, right. And so then there were videos made. I think Keemstar made a video. Maybe other people made videos, and then all of a sudden, Ethan lost a lot of sponsorships too, right? So I don't know if Ethan, because again, we have to speculate here when Ethan says, "Oh, I've been canceled." No, people who've been canceled disappear off the fucking internet. I.e. Shane.
Yeah, Gavin McInnes.
Shane Dawson, fucking disappeared, right? Gone, right?
You could name fucking. Who was the guy that most recently with iDubbbz got into a mix? What's his name? Shit.
Oh, yeah, but he didn't really get canceled. He just...
What's his name?
Yeah.
Sam Hyde.
Sam Hyde. But he didn't really get canceled, though, did he? I mean, he just kind of went into obscurity, right?
To be fair, there apparently was some weird shit he was doing. Yeah, but Sam Hyde, he's not on the internet. So, he's on his own website, and his clips are on YouTube. But
okay. Well, I don't know enough about Sam. That's another guy I don't know enough about to speak intelligently. But,
there's plenty of people that are like that. Anthony, was it the Compound Media, all those guys, they got labeled outright. Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein have barely avoided getting canceled off YouTube, but that's because they've been so adamant about, saying, "Hey, I'm not those guys." Sam Harris, they tried to lump him in with the intellectual dark web because all those guys were on Joe Rogan with Jordan Peterson. They were the public intellectuals that everyone should be afraid of, according to the New Left, because they proposed a theory of morals and ethics that didn't align with saying that, repeating all this mantra of like, hey, you're a bad person inherently. You should repent on broken glass and say how much of a horrible person you are. Yeah.
Well, all I know is I'm going to take a sip of water here and cheer to the day that we get canceled.
Here's hoping. I'm already canceled.
No, bitch, you got out there and got acting stupid on Twitter and they canceled your account. That ain't canceled. That ain't how that shit works. And secondly, you have to have a certain viewership and I think and subscriber count before you can be canceled. We don't even have enough damn subscribers to where we can even track a loss. I don't think at this point.
Yeah, who knows? We canceled before we even got started. We've been pre-canceled. It's like the what's that movie where they kill people before they commit a crime? Minority Report.
Minority Report, yeah.
But they're doing that with podcasts. We're just broadcasting into a dark room, and all the people commenting are bots. We're not even broadcasting back to the internet.
But here's what I'll say is that even though we don't have tens of thousands of whatever followers or subs to our channel, whatever. We have some very loyal fans. And
we have the fucking best fans. You guys rule.
Well, I'm not going to sit and say ours is the best. There's a lot of really good fans out there.
I'm pandering for you.
You're pandering?
I have no morals.
By God, get down on your knees and just suck them off then. That's fine.
One at a time. Single file line, please.
But no,
You're all a figment of my imagination anyway.
I'm very appreciative of all of our fans, and I've made statements about this multiple times that for the longest time, Banana and I were having our podcast, and hell, we wouldn't even have nobody in the chat. It was basically we were broadcasting to as he said a dark empty room. And so we slowly have gotten, and we're having more and more viewers every week, and live viewers, and it pumps me up when I go out there and look and I see that we've got 30 3 and 4 people waiting for the show to start. I mean, it does. It energizes me. It energizes me. And but you know, I we got to kind of wrap things up because we're coming up here against.
But we forgot to cover the anti-vax accusation.
Oh yeah, shit. We got it. Okay, so let's go bring up the famous Ethan tweet here.
Real quickly, I will put this. Peterson has some stuff that I think is kind of weird. Because his like, no offense, like the guy, I have a lot of respect for him. His book really helped me out. No shit, like his book really helped me sort my life out. So
did you clean up your room?
I did, and now it's a process. You have to keep doing it. It's upkeep. Entropy always wins, unfortunately, but not every battle. Anyways, so his daughter has her own podcast. She kind of a lot of people say she kind of leeches off her dad's fame, but I mean, she gets into some woo-woo shit. Anyways, and like, so they during a time they were really into like this meat only diet, like this carnivore diet and stuff. And I don't know how the dietary research pans out on that. I'm not a fucking doctor, but it doesn't.
But we're not carnivores. We're omnivores, right? We have to
seem right.
We have to have both plant and
And then they also had like this guy like Hoffman, this ice guy. He's like he goes and dives into like the Arctic waters and stuff, and he's like it's good for you and stuff. They just have a lot of weird.
So hang on. So are you telling me they've got people out there doing the chunky dunkers?
What's the chunky dunkers?
You not ever heard of the chunky dunkers? Oh, it's a big thing, right? So what they have,
I live in like the middle of hell, right? Where it's 120 degrees every year.
Listen, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Just because you live in Texas doesn't mean that you have to be ignorant. There's a thing called the internet. Do some research. Okay.
Right.
Jesus.
Right.
All right. So here's this thing. They have a thing that's called the chunky dunkers. I shit you not. And the whole thing about it is I think it's New Year's Day that they do this. It's a big phenomenon. They have people, usually they're larger people such as myself.
Big boys and girls.
Big boys and girls. Usually it's older people too. They will dress in some wild and outrageous swim attire, right? And they will run out into the water on New Year's Day, where the water is extremely cold because whatever. And they call them the chunky dunkers. It's like a New Year's tradition type thing that kind of got started, and it's kind of it's a thing. It's a real deal. So
well, that sounds like a hell of a time.
I never did it because shrinkage is a thing, and contrary to what I said earlier, I'm not hung like a horse. And if I did a chunky dunker, I never would find that son of a bitch. It'd be like June before the son of a bitch thawed out enough where I could piss again. So
the groundhog would not come back out of its hidey hole.
I can't have that.
Scared of its own shadow for a while.
Yeah, but anyway, he says COVID misinformation, and so we got to cover the third point. So the third point, real quick, was this: where in the hell is this stuff coming from? Right? Where is this stuff about why accusation was put on misinformation? Okay, so this one again was one of those deals that was kind of a little bit obscure and kind of hard. And I am making almost a board above here. I am making an educated guess here. Okay, what I found was this is a Newsweek article.
I mean, the burden of proof isn't on you either way. It's on
you. Anyway, yes, I'm trying to. No. I'm channeling the brain of Ethan Klein. No. But anyway, so this is a Newsweek article, and what happened was this: is I'm sure that our intelligent viewership out there already is aware of the big brouhaha that occurred between Joe Rogan and CNN, right?
I can't hold it.
Oh, geez. Microbladder boy. But anyway, what happened is Joe Rogan, of course, got COVID, and then there were some media outlets and stuff that was accusing him of taking the horse dewormer and stuff like that. CNN was one of the worst about it, whatever. Anyway, and of course, Joe Rogan is... he's he has a lot of different people on his podcast, and he asks a lot of questions. And Joe Rogan has made the statement that he's not a doctor. He's just a dumb comedian that has a podcast, and he talks about his experiences, and he talks with people about their experiences and so forth, right? Well, these people, he had people on there that is not falling in step in line with the quote unquote majority, or not even majority, but the accepted message of COVID, proper COVID, treatments, vaccinations and things like that, right? And so he's had some people on there, some virologists and immunologists and stuff like that, that, like I say, don't lock arm in arm with what is being, the message is being put forth by the mainstream media and stuff. So anyway, they came after him, right? And so what happened is Dr. Peterson put a tweet out, and he was supporting Joe Rogan, right? And he said, Joe Rogan, king of misinformation. That's why so many people prefer him to CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, which never lie or just dissimulate. He says that Joe Rogan, leave him alone at Spotify and censors everywhere. What this was all stemming from was that a group of 270 different doctors got together and signed a letter and sent it to Spotify asking them to basically remove Joe Rogan from Spotify because they felt like he was putting out misinformation when it came to the coronavirus and COVID. And like I said, because Joe had on virologists and immunologists that are not locking arm in arm with these 270 doctors, whatever, they wanted him canceled. And anyway, so that's where all that came from, as far as him, quote, being misinformation. Well, here's a little problem with that, though, right? If you guys also are not aware of, Ethan Klein had an issue with Joe Rogan not too long ago as well, right? He kind of went to war with him because Joe Rogan, it's pretty deeply rooted, because what it was is Ethan Klein had reached out to Joe Rogan because he wanted him to do a podcast with him. And Joe Rogan never even acknowledged him, just kind of, didn't.
It's like you don't exist.
Yeah, he never really even, not like that. And so Ethan has an axe to grind there, or at least it seems to me that he had an axe to grind. And so he came out and started slamming Joe Rogan over the whole COVID experience that Joe Rogan went through, and the medications that he was prescribed, by a doctor. And, he kind of, anyway, that's not really what, but anyway, he just, excuse me, but that's where all that came from. I couldn't find anything else. Banana, did you find anything that would link to, quote, Dr. Peterson being a misinformationist when it comes to COVID?
No, it's like finding a needle in a haystack that doesn't exist. Because I've seen him on video say that, like, once the vaccine comes out, it'll be a good thing, and that people should get vaccinated as soon as possible, stuff like that. So, I mean, the burden of proof is on the people making the accusation. If they can't provide a reliable source of Peterson being anti-vax or anything like that, which, by the way, he did say that it is totalitarian to mandate vaccines, especially ones that are, a new technology.
Yeah.
So, and I tend to agree. I think if you're I'm not going to fucking have the government dictate what I put in my body, especially when that thing is damn near experimental. So go fuck yourself.
All I can say is I am fully vaccinated. I've not haven't done the boosters yet. The job that my wife has, she is in constant contact with the general public. I work, and the environment that I work in, I am in a mass contact with people as well. And I get every little sniffle that comes down the pipe, and I've been lucky, knock on wood, so far I haven't got COVID. I do believe it's just a matter of time.
I got it in January of last year. I didn't get it this year. And real quick, Joey says the exact thing that I'm trying to say. I'm not vaccinated, but I am not anti-vax. I believe in medicine. I believe in science. Yeah. What I don't believe in is cutting the red tape. Like I said way earlier in the show last year, cutting the red tape and then, carte blanche, making something readily available that hasn't had proper testing. And they can say it's had proper testing and FDA approval all they want, but the fact of the matter is a lot of shortcuts were taken to make sure that this stuff got to the public. So,
well, that's all I'm saying. And
I'm anti-big pharma.
Yeah, you won't get any arguments from me. But again, I think this is one of those things that, again, this goes back to reiterate what I said and what Banana has said throughout this podcast, and even at the very beginning of the show. You're either with them or you're against them. Period.
Yeah, it's like you hear people like Zach De La Rocha or Roca, however you say his fucking name, going, "You should get vaccinated." We're not holding shows unless we have, people have proof of vaccination. And it's like, didn't you write a song saying "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me"?
Yeah. The thing of it is you can't.
Is that where your anarchism pans out? That's when you become a government shill. Sorry, go ahead.
You can't. Here's the problem: you cannot enter into a conversation with people who have a total. I don't know what the right word here is, but if they have an attitude or their mindset is either 100% compliance, and if you're not compliant or with what their views are, then you are a foe to them. No, I'm not. I may not agree with all of your views, but I see some legitimacy in some of your views, and so some of them I'm on board with. No, that's not okay. So either you're 100% with them or you're 100% against them.
And not for nothing, dude. Everyone I know that's been fucking vaccinated has gotten COVID this year. So
sure, I mean
until I see a real reason to get the vaccine and it actually has efficacy, like not like them saying it works, but like it actually does work. Yeah, I'll go get it immediately when it does.
Well, here's the thing you have to remember, people, and this is where I don't want to call it misinformation per se. I'll just call it misrepresentation. How about that?
Yeah.
When you have the leadership within the U.S. make statements of like Dr. Fauci, he made a statement, he said, people who are vaccinated don't have to worry about getting COVID either indoors or outdoors, right? Well, here's the problem. This is an immunization. This is not an immunization. This is a vaccine. Immunizations are things for like polio, diphtheria, whooping cough. That's immunized. It means you will not get it. If you take these immunizations, you will not get those diseases. When you have a vaccination, such as the flu vaccine or the COVID vaccine, you're not being immunized against it. You can still get it, but the premise is that if you get it, that your body will have built up antibodies to help deal with the virus, so that the symptoms are not as damaging or doesn't take as long to get over them. And so it's truly like, I have a buddy right now that got COVID, was fully immunized, was boosted. He said, he's on the tail end of it now. He said it's taking him a little over a week. Of course, he's in the 40-something demographic. And he said it hung around a little bit longer than, say, like the flu or whatever, so it was a little bit tougher to get over it. My youngest son, who is in the 20-something demographic, he had it. It took him 2 or 3 days, and that was it. And he was over and done with. And he said it was basically, now the 2 to 3 days were pretty bad and rough. Now, my son was not immunized, has no intentions of getting immunized. He's like Banana. He doesn't trust this vaccine. He thinks it was, and that's fine. He's a grown man. I'm not going to sit there and tell him what to do with himself.
No, I mean, there's a risk. I mean, I'm aware of the risk of alienating people by what I said too, but it's like, I'd rather be honest about my stance on things than sit here and fucking mouth, popular ideas to the people that listen to the show. It's like, if you don't agree with that, that's fine. We don't have to agree. It's just, that's my stance on the topic,
Yeah. So, but anyway, and he was over in it was pretty intense 2 or 3 days, but then he was back up and going good, whatever. So bottom line is everybody just use your judgment, use what you think's best for you, and then do it. It's just that simple. But I again, going back over to reiterate the 3 points that Ethan made in his tweet, I don't believe that Dr. Peterson is a pundit or gateway to the quote alt-right. I didn't see anything that Ethan put out. I didn't see information that Ethan put out that backed up his statement. He just made that statement. I don't believe that Dr. Peterson is transphobic. Everything that I found was to the contrary of that. Again, Ethan didn't put out anything other than he just made a blanket statement. And lastly, as far as him putting out COVID misinformation, again, didn't find anything that showed that. All I showed was that he he put a tweet out supporting Joe Rogan, and as far as not censoring and allowing people to have a conversation or have discourse. Just because you don't agree with the popular narrative doesn't mean that that you're wrong and they're right, or you're right and they're wrong. It just means that you disagree, and it's okay to just freaking disagree.
It is 100% okay. And here's the thing that I'll say that Ethan probably won't. I'm betting he won't. I want our audience, this is my parting note to you guys.
Yeah.
Think for yourself.
Yes.
Don't give an ounce of authority to what I say or what Riveter says.
Nope.
You think for yourself. Go find your topics. You can entertain ideas of everyone you want.
Sure.
But the burden of authority is on you. You have to go find the truth.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to people, because everyone in life is trying to convince you of something, some kind of narrative to take and repeat and live. They want you to take up the mantle of their ideas and become its avatar. You think for yourself, and don't let other people tell you what to fucking believe.
Yeah. And on that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We actually went over because I guess we just need more time to get what we had to say out today. We appreciate all of you. We love the discourse and you guys had in the comments you had in the chat. One final issue or challenge I put out there, Ethan, rather than just making blanket statements, back up what you're saying. Show proof of what you're showing. Don't just make statements, because then, we have to speculate, and, anyway, it just makes it, anyway. So, guys, remember, like, subscribe, follow us. We're, the Clear Mud Podcast over on Twitter, River, at Twitter. Well, shit, I'll get that out. Everything out there, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, everything's Riveter. Banana, I don't think he has a presence anymore. I think he's been banned off. I think he's been banned off of everything.
I'm a 5-dimensional being. I'm just drifting throughout space. the interwebs.
Yeah,
I'm not
but,
tethered to one platform.
You can, if you join our Discord server, you can reach out to Banana there. He will respond and talk to you there.
My DMs are off, but if you go into general chat and at me, I'll talk to you.
Yeah. But anyway, listen, remember, stay safe out there, keep your powder dry, and we'll see you in the funny papers.